It is recognized as one of the greatest threats to human health worldwide. It's antibiotic resistance, and that's the topic for today. We're going to start with the discovery of antibiotics. They were first introduced in the 1930s and were discovered by a man named Alexander Fleming, professor of bacteriology at St. Mary's Hospital in London. The accidental discovery in his lab would eventually turn out to be the first antibiotic, penicillin, which would optimally change the way many physicians treated their patients. Antibiotics are compounds produced by bacteria and fungi, which are capable of killing or inhibiting competing microbial species. Now, almost 80 years later, we find ourselves at drastic measures in treating these infectious diseases. We basically cannot keep up with the natural ability of bacteria to evolve and defend their population against the antibiotics. As a result, some of the most powerful medicines are becoming very useless. Well, what is antibiotic resistance? It is something that occurs in bacteria. A modification occurs, causing bacteria to become immune to the side effects of antibiotics. In other words, resistant, meaning that the effectiveness of the antibiotic used for an infection will be diminished. Well, how might this happen? A genetic mutation can occur, a rare spontaneous change that manipulates the genetic material of the bacteria. Some mutations can cause it to secrete a potent enzyme that can kill the antibiotic, while others manufacture pumping mechanisms to export the antibiotic back outside so it will never reach its target. Bacteria can obtain antibiotic-resistant genes from other bacteria in numerous ways. The most common way is through a process called conjugation. First off, the donor cell attaches to a recipient cell with its pilus. The pilus draws the cells together. Second, the cells will come in contact with one another. Third, one strand of plasmid DNA transfers to the recipient. Finally, the recipient synthesizes a complementary strand to become a resistant cell. The donor synthesizes a complementary strand, restoring its complete plasmid. Lastly, some bacteria are just naturally resistant. Well, how does the resistance spread? First off, it can spread horizontally, which is when bacteria share or exchange sections of genetic material with other bacterium. It can occur between different bacterial species. Second, vertically, is when new generations inherit antibiotic resistance genes from other bacterium. And lastly, antibiotic resistance can occur and spread as bacteria themselves move from place to place in the environment. Okay, so now we know what antibiotic resistance is. But what's the big deal? Well, it will be much more challenging and very expensive to fight off human infection with a large and even growing population of resistant bacteria. When it comes to antibiotics, if it stops working to fight the infection, a patient would have to make many extra appointments to a doctor and might spend extended amount of days in the hospital. Antibiotics are what you would call a societal drug. Resistance travels from bacterium to bacterium and person to person. This means that anyone could receive resistant bacteria with a cough, a sneeze, from an airplane, a bus seat, anywhere really. You guys better be getting 10 points on every cough or sneeze, not 5 points like our guy Fred here. With the growing population and major use of antibiotics, resistance could slowly but surely impact an entire community. The most common misconception is that people are the organisms who become resistant to the antibiotics. I can 100% assure you this is not the case. Bacteria is the only organisms that develop the resistance. It is not the individual person, but a person can have the resistant bacteria inside of them. That being said, bacteria can lose its resistance. If the selective pressure that was causing the resistance is removed, then the process could reverse. Although it occurs much slower, the population of resistant bacteria could return to a bacteria community that responds to antibiotics. Now you might be asking yourself, what can be done about antibiotic resistance? Well, some of the best ways to stay resistant-free are to keep up on hygiene and make sure you're always washing your hands with soap and warm water. Second, to cook your meat 100%. It will prevent disease. And lastly, making sure to only take antibiotics when necessary and only when prescribed, such as to treat an infection, not for any viral infections though. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the video and actually learned something new about antibiotic resistance. Have a good day.